What is up, everyone? It is potentially our final game of the day, which would be very sad to have two sweeps in a row, but I guess it's the early stages of the top 8 here at the College Championship for 2021. Good to have it back, if nothing else, as we did miss it in 2020, and defending champions from 2019, but defending champions nonetheless, Crumbs, are in the driver's seat here, 1-0 up against Columbia College from Maryville.
And it wasn't just an individual like we saw, it was the team play in general. Great draft as well. Maryville came out very strong this time around. Columbia needs to try something new. We heard from TJ, experimentation could be the recipe, or maybe it was just warming up. We know very well of teams that just struggle with game ones. It's not a thing that is uncommon. You open up the series, you got to get a feel for what your opponent is after, especially when you tried a new pick, right? You thought maybe the Gwen could work out. Turns out they knew what to do against it. We'll fall back on something that we know are much better. Usually the first games are the ones where you want to be experiment anyway, so I don't put too much on Columbia's loss, and taking red side for a change means that they've got something planned for that counter pick.
Yeah, I like that they're changing it up at least. It does seem like teams, at least so far, favoring red side. So we'll see what the Columbia Cougars have cooked up here, as Lucian and Nocturne will once again receive some bans in this game. Udyr also going to continue to get banned. That's an interesting one to me. I think Maryville banned it in both their games so far, which kind of feels like it says Odd Orange doesn't play Udyr, which feels like a ridiculous statement. I feel like every jungler can play Udyr. But maybe there's other things they'd rather take. But definitely something to maybe watch as the tournament rolls on, if there is a potential weakness in draft you can exploit. But again, that's rampant speculation. Renekton going to be banned away instead, and we'll see how Maryville finish out. Ooh, respecting the Thresh so much, they're going to take it away from Shady and ban it here.
Yeah, it's just a great pick when it comes to playoffs. Thresh is incredible for playmaking, just offers you so much, and the denial of play. We didn't get to see it that much because Shady was doing so well, but just having the threat of the Lantern to stop you from playmaking is often enough to actually paralyze a team into inaction, and that is not where you want to be in League of Legends. You want to constantly be looking for plays. So we already saw in the previous series how valuable it was. Shady clearly had an outstanding game this time around and is not interested in seeing if the Columbia Cougars can live up to what Thresh has already shown today.
All right, well, another self-ban, this time on the Gwen, and I can't blame them. Gwen feels powerful enough to not want to give to a player like Spyrex, given the form he showed in Game 1, but I don't think Rovex wants to revisit it, given the beatdown that incurred as a result. Rumble, though, is going to get through as a result of all this. I believe Rumble was pickable in the last game, and Orange didn't go anywhere near the pick, took Olaf instead. So interesting kind of pick there, but this does leave Morgana to Nintendo if he wants to play it yet again.
The Freaks Rumble critique has been heard around the globe. Rumble jungle may not be that good, requires quite a bit of skill, and can actually be really easy to punish. He doesn't have any mobility unlike the other junglers, or tankiness, so I understand why you wouldn't want to prioritize the Rumble jungle, especially because it requires a lot of synergy in setting up those ultimates. Remember when Rumble was meta way back ago, you really only played him when you could combo him with the likes of a champion like Jarvan against a lot of immobile champions where you lock them down, you cook them in the equalizer. You want to accomplish the same thing, but it's just a little bit harder since those setup picks often came from the jungle. Now that he's in the jungle, you got to switch your entire composition around, and whole teams may not be so willing to do that.
Well, it does mean that Spyrex is probably playing an AD mid laner, which is very exciting, given the assassin play he showed on the AP assassin Akali in game number 1. Senator Tom Kench also locked in. This is just like completely gross from Evan RL and Shady. This is the kind of lane where, especially if you feel like you can flex a laning edge you might have on your opponents, it's so unbelievably like domineering in a 2v2. So love to see it. Curious how much they can get done and who plays what, but I guess who farms. I guess it's always going to be Evan playing the center. Morgana, though, is going to be selected once again. Nintendo going to run back the MSI Classic, let's call it. This is a jungle match that we've seen a ton of in the recent times in competitive league. And what's going to happen in phase 2, Crumbs? That's kind of the next question. How many champions is Spyrex or Chippy's going to lose here? Is Olaf going to be taken away? So not trusting that that Rumble is destined for Odd Orange.
Yeah, very interesting to think that the Olaf was also a big problem in the last game, because you wouldn't ban the Olaf not just if you didn't trust Odd Orange, but if you felt like last game Odd Orange's impact was too high. And frankly, it didn't seem to me like the Olaf did all that much. Everybody else played quite well, but he does the standard thing that most junglers do, really. You just power clearing, you're helping with ganks, and then your team fighting well. The one thing that did happen often is that he, by virtue of his ultimate, is another target that you just can't pick. So if you're trying to make sure that you can find a player and maximize your options for killing somebody, if you can pick them by themselves, then you ban the Olaf. It was also a matchup into the Morgana, but with the Rumble already selected, I think this is them just being incredibly extra safe, since Rumble can be solo laned.
Karma mid lane? No, Karma support. Sorry, Morgana's the jungle, everyone. Refresh your minds. I like this double range into center time camp. It's been pretty common. Trying to, again, maximize the amount of harassment you can do, because if Senna can't harass you, it's very challenging for her to really do anything and collect those souls. And Tahm Kench is kind of like a, just a punching bag waddling around in the 2v2 in bot lane. So certainly can punish, even though it is tricky to crack through someone as tanky as a Tahm, especially if the Tahm is farming. That was a lot of syllables. Can be a nice way to be aggressive in this and try and pick people off in a 2v2. Lee Sin solo lane, though, is going to be the pick for Spyrex. That makes sense with the Rumble that you've already picked up. And it looks like Chippies is going to have to pick semi-blind, but probably not blind, as it's unlikely to be set mid, although it certainly could be. Going to take Nah here for a bit of extra safety. Just a perfectly good all-around champion, especially on the blue side.
It's fine here, too.
Oh, goodness.
What? Okay. I love your response, by the way. I love your response there. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's a Nasus. That's a Nasus solo lane. That is
Revex,
amazing.
Trade with Azo. Revex, I need to get a trade. I don't know how I feel if it's mid lane Nasus. I think
it is.
I need to trade champions, buddy. You have 15 seconds. I don't know if you know this. At 20 seconds, you're locked in. You can't keep Nasus in the top lane if you don't swap before 20. Revex?
Oh.
Apparently it's his champion.
Nasus versus Lee Sin. This is the answer he's gone for.
Sure. I like it. I don't know what to expect, but I like it.
I love seeing Nasus because now we actually have two champions to keep track of on their stacks. We got to know what's going on with the Senna. We got to know what's going on with Nasus. We absolutely
An observer's dream.
Yeah. The story just paints itself. How many stacks does it have? Oh my god, 500 stacks. He's so strong. Or, oh, just 100 at 30 minutes. He's useless. So that's kind of how the story is going to play out. How many stacks can Nasus get? Because there's a lot of melee champions, and that is exactly what Nasus loves to see. Triple rejuve.
His fleet too. Yeah, he respects the hustle of Lee Sin early on. Oh goodness. All right. I'm assuming it's AD like bruiser tank Nasus. I don't think it's going to be AP with fleet footwork, but already challenging Spyrex early on in the 1v1. Spyrex is just blinking around. The skin is so cool, by the way. It's the hotness at MSI.
Lee Sin just gets so many cool skins.
I know, he's just so cool. Moving away.
And he's actually fun to watch. He's actually fun to watch, so it's justifiable too.
It is. I mean, very popular champion for a number of reasons. More popular than you would even think, Crumbs. Because I think he's most popular in like Vietnam and China, and obviously we don't play in those regions. So as many Lee Sins as you think you've seen playing in North America, or for myself in OCE back in the day, although also NA in OCE back in the day. Really back in the day. Yeah, there's way more Lee Sin everywhere else in the world.
I mean, you've got two champions that are really just diametrically opposed in what they offer to the game almost. Lee Sin, maximum skill expression. Nasus is maximum Q expression. That's really all he's got.
Oh no. Oh wait, Sparks has Ignite too. He's not messing around. This is this is so spicy. I love this. Alright, we'll see what happens here. But Rovek's getting zoned off nice and early. I assume he skilled Q. He would make things a little bit easier here in the early trading, but obviously interested in stacking up the wave. Probably not expecting to challenge. Okay, no, he does have E. Never mind. I take it back. Just letting the wave come a little closer. Hopefully won't miss too many CS under the tower. But Spyrex is playing aggressively. This is one of the reasons Lee Sin is so good and so flexible as a solo lane and not just in mid. His E apparently is good enough to like help you out shove or counter shove, you know, your range champions, while you can stay safe with your safeguard and your sustain. And against melee champions, it's just a free for all. You just walk up to them and hit E every time it's off cooldown, and it feels like the easiest lane of your life.
If that's not enough, the sustain, the slow, the harass, the mobility, he has no mana on top of it. the list just never ends for how good Lee Sin is right now in the solo lane.
Yeah, the wild thing is, I don't know if Lee Sin even needed that much of a push. He got one, but he might have been good even before that, because his E-buff actually wasn't that big, if I recall correctly. It wasn't nothing, right? So maybe I'm wrong, but
2 seconds.
Lee Sin's one of those champions. Okay, that's quite a long time. I take it back.
Especially
for a laner.
10 to 8, I think. That was exactly the change.
And everyone's like, wait a second, maxing E feels great. And now they just do it all the time. All right, well, Rovek's actually doing very well in CS. Like you said, triple rejuve beats. So he understands the harassment that's coming through and has 2 stacks in the siphoning strike already. So he's going to be stacking it up. Nintendude also clearing to the jungle nice and swiftly. Both these junglers pretty fast. You can see they're currently equal on camps taken. In fact, they're nice and equal, both taking the Scuttle Crab around the same time, as well as bottom side is going, actually, I think you'd expect for Columbia Cougars here. Winning the early 2v2 push, and it is Tom farming, so don't look at Evan CS and freak out too much, but Shady is down on CS, 14 to 22, if you consider his score up against the Trist.
And that's fine for them, since all the action for Maryville is going to be revolving around the mid lane. Just some harasser to Aiza, but I think he'll have to stay in this lane. Chippy's is about to go Mega, but he's got backup here. If they try to go for a dive, Nintendo can threaten. He should have seen that ward being placed, though, so going through here at least props the Predator to scare them away and let him back off of his top laner, as I'm pretty sure their game plan with Nasus is just farm and scale. You really couldn't do anything else.
Byrex also is just, like, trying to do everything he can to harass this Nasus, but Revex is shaking it off. I kind of love it. Chippy's also popping over the top. Does land the wallop onto Azo, but it's a battle for the Krugs right now, and I think Odd Orange might be winning, but it's close. Didn't see who got the first pop on the 2 big ones, but Odd Orange clearly going to stick around and collect a pretty healthy amount of this camp as he finishes off the little ones as well.
They're healthier, they've got push in top, and they have push in mid lane, so this is really good to see out of Maryville University, knowing that they need to be doing this. You absolutely have to be contesting this constantly. You just can't allow a Nasus pick to go unpunished. This is why Nasus does not get picked, because ideally the enemy takes so much advantage of your early weakness and then gets a big enough lead that runs away with it. But I can't get to the bottom lane first.
Evan RL in trouble. This is the only thing Nintendo could really do. Dark Binding is deftly dodged by Shady, but Flash was committed, and heal for Shady and Evan respectively, as Spyrax continues to harass Nasus, and Nasus continues to ignore him. Well, can't ignore him for too long, because those Tempest levels are starting to rack up there. You can see 3 points already. And Spyrax does have Ignite. Like, again, Rovex has got Ghost here. Oh, goodness. Going in there for the play. Finds the kick. Q's going to land, but the ulti just in time for Rovex. Going to help save him here.
Very close there. You see what he's trying to do, but he's getting so frustrated since this is not ideally the way that people lane, right? You're normally trying to outskill your opponent. You're trying to weave in and out of your auto attacks, sustain here and there. This is just, I'm going to tank everything you do, auto the wave, and just ignore you. I'm going to ignore you, and because of my build and my passive, I'm going to survive. And it's kind of working. A 10 CS deficit in the mid lane. I mean, losing a plate, it's a pretty big deal there on the side of Spyrax, but you haven't died, and you have Nasus, which hopefully turns into something valuable later. But for now, you just need to keep stacking.
Look at that. Didn't lose the plate, just barely. Didn't get the bonus gold. He's probably going to get it. In fact, he's going to re-push this wave here with his jungler to make sure he gets the plate money. But Karma is up here, so yeah, Spyrax not going to be able to get there. Rovex, look at him go! Denying the plates, gets shielded up by the Karma to keep tanking that wave. He's going to fully pull it, and they're going top. Rovex is now being ignored.
Oh, no.
This is what it's come to. It's for Asia that's going to have to bear the brunt of this play. Nar ulti is so good, but the set ulti looks a bit better. It's still not enough, though, as Odd Orange will claim first blood.
Oh, Maryville is punishing Columbia so hard for this. Nasus is freezing the mid lane. At least he just roams top and gets the kill. They could even go for another dive against Nintendude. He's just trying to stack up, but Maryville is recognizing that this is not allowed. They are not allowing this to happen and go uncontested. It's brutal, though. You're going to have to assist the game later on.
Oh, no. Nintendude's just dead. No, ulti, what are you doing there? Oh, boy. Maximum punish for Odd Orange. That's Nintendo has enough experience, Crumbs. You know, usually I let them off easy in collegiate. But Nintendo should know better there. Definitely should not have stayed. Spyrax looking to punish. TP coming in from Chippies, but not coming in just yet. Rovex finally leaves the mid lane. But 3v2 right now, not looking so crash hot. Odd Orange trying to finish off this red, does get it. And it's just, he's just taking so much jungle. This Rumble only has a refill pop, by the way. And hasn't used his ulti, so I don't know what happened in Intended. Let's find out, Crumbs. Okay, we'll find out this first.
Yeah, he tried to outplay it with his ultimate, which is fine, but just gets stunned and doesn't have enough time to actually pop the haymaker. Would have still died anyhow, but let's see what Nintendo is up to, because he has some vision, tries to cancel it. I don't know if he sees Odd Orange. Oh, he just doesn't expect Spyrax to still be here.
Yeah.
The E is enough damage to actually pop through the shield. Maybe didn't expect that. And then Odd Orange with the flash. But, you know, you say Nintendo has a lot of experience, and I totally agree. But there is one thing Nintendo, and literally no one has as a jungler, is experience playing with Nasus in the mid lane. And what that means is you're never getting help. No one's coming to help you out. You think you can contest your jungle, but Neeson just have so much free time. He's still up in CS despite being involved in 2 kills.
Yeah, especially farming Nasus, right? AP Nasus, you know, Max's Spirit Fire, ease the wave all day, and it can maybe push. But yeah, not in this instance. Definitely going to be, you know, slow to move here. Wants to, you know, queue every single creep if possible, right? Which takes a lot of time and a lot of pulling of the waves. So it's rough out there for Nintendo. I can't agree with that. But this is what they opted into, and Maryville are punishing them as a result here. Already up 3,000 gold at under 10 minutes in. And Chippies is going to get even more here. Maybe even looks at a plate. Gonna get to demolish off. Yeah, that'll be a plate over. Odd Orange is like living in the enemy red side jungle, by the way. This does not belong to Columbia Cougars at all. And Cat 2 has to run up as a result. Intended finally with a blue buff and level 6, but TP looking like a dive here maybe on the set. Azo in trouble. Does look for the pool, doesn't grab it though. Nintendo here, Chippies. Now in a 1v3, sorry, as Odd Orange does have the ulti ready, but not gonna let it go just yet. They'll just let Chippies die, because honestly, Chippies was dead.
Good roam there from the Karma, knowing you need reinforcements in the top side. They've just been bullying set. You're not able to make anything happen into the set. And sorry, the Senna and the Tahm Kenches. They're playing exactly their role. They're just farming, they're playing safe, and making sure that all of the action revolves around the top side. So Karma felt like she had an opportunity to go to the top side, relieve some pressure here, but it's still going to be punished by the relentless auto attacks from Senna onto this turret. So it's not like that roam was without any opportunity cost. The Senna continues to get gold, Tahm Kench gets tankier, and you still got an Nasus in the mid lane farming. 207 stacks. That's pretty good. I'll tell you, that's pretty good at 10 minutes, but what about the rest of the team? How are they doing? Because I don't think they're feeling that good.
Yeah, it's rough out there, that's for sure. Again, still down 3,000 gold. That sacrifice, you know, for a bit of material does give them the tempo they need to kill the top laner, but again, not a play you get to make proactively because of the current state of the game, and Spyrax and Odd Orange are just like stuck together at this point, and why should they separate? They're going to take this Rift Herald here. Odd Orange is going to go ahead and collect that one, and plates are going to be given over soon. As Spyrax ventures topside, he's fancying a duel with Set. Azo does not oblige, does not want to fight the Lee Sin right now. I can't blame him. Iron Spike Whip already done, as Spyrax gets the wave pushed in. Chippies goes ahead and trades places with his mid laner. And going to go ahead and continue to batter down the turret here. Should actually get one more plate at least by the looks of things. Probably not going to use the Herald there as a result. Maybe the bot lane, given that Odd Orange is currently down there, is where he wants to look towards.
Yeah, bot would actually be a great place to free up your Tahm Kench and the Senna, your ultimates, because you don't really care about Nasus here. I think you're going to be able to deal with him just fine. Drawing attention to the mid lane is okay, but if he just wants to stay farming and freezing the wave, it gives you more opportunities to fight bot lane.
Oh, having a real good shield there, gets himself up, but still not enough damage, and Bucksack able to jump his way out there with a reset, but Shady flash cues in, Odd Orange flashes in after him, and that's going to be a kill now. Cat 2 is going to have the binding blocked, absorbed nicely there by Shady, as Odd Orange was the target. And no trade kill there. Actually, a 1-for-1, I guess, at the end of the day, as both ADs do fall, and the Herald will be dropped, which means the tower goes with it.
Nintendo had no mana to try to make anything more than what he did in that play, so they're going to lose the turret down there. They're going to lose the turret up here, too.
Solo kill, looking like it's very close, if nothing else, as Azo going to have to run away from Chippies, who is just destroying his 1v1. Like, there's been a little bit of help up here, I feel like. Odd Orange and Sparks have basically been living up here, but that is such an unholy CS lead. Like, 60 already for Chippies, and he's going to get the tower as well. In fact, the Riftfeld's maybe even going to charge down. It won't, but Odd Orange is here with Shady. It's only Shady! But if that's enough, it looks like his cat is going to be forced to flash out of there.
Nasus is coming, though. Here he comes. First time in the play.
No Mythic Spyrex. What a Q. Kick him? No need. Just gets the Q, lands straight in there as Chippy's looks ready after using the ulti and diving it up as Odd Orange is low. Rovex looking like he wants some stacks. Odd Orange, though, gets the kill with the ultimate as Evan RL and Shady going to have to book it. And that's a lot of slow, but that's not enough as Bucksack's going to dive in. Shady with a good devour, but it's not enough to keep him alive. Will die, and Evan RL will follow as Rovex does get that second kill.
That's the big dog coming down with the cane. Finally actually participates in a really good way, though. That's 3 kills that he just helped out. Not what you'd expect out of the Nasus, but his Ghost and Flash allows him to make the play. Nintendo's caught, though. Doesn't have Flash. He's dead.
Oh. One more Q needed. Oh, just nails it. Spyrex hits him with a well-played heart as well. Solo killing the enemy jungle. He's a level ahead, to be perfectly fair, and feeling pretty good about his chances right now.
5,000 gold up as well. Not able to get those plates in the mid lane, but the kill will be plenty for him. Now the dragon is up as well. The team can regroup. And with the outer turrets being broken down, Nasus in the side lanes, I think Maryville's about to crank up the nitrous oxide on this one and really take us to turbo mode because they can do so much diving with the Lee Sin and the Rumble. They've got pressure in the side lanes, and Nasus down here without teleport will be so much slower to join anything.
And again, one more time, this is like Shady on his own. I thought someone else was here, but it wasn't.
The Karma
2v2
shield.
looking for Cat, but Karma keeps himself alive as Rovex getting his roam on to the bottom lane.
I want to see how he actually played this out because he's ghosting in. All right, who's he going after? Slowing down the Rumble and then flashing in forward. What else could he do but just press autos and Qs? There's nothing more to it. He's just strong enough or he isn't, and currently he is.
Yeah, I think tried to flash Q Shady hoping it would be enough, but it wasn't quite enough for the kill still. Bucksack with a great follow-up. Despite being low, and then Evan RL, Triumph heals, jumps in place there for Bucksack, but still more than enough to grab that kill as Dragon goes over to Maryville. Actually splitting those first 2 objectives is an Ocean Soul and an Ocean Rift as a result. But you said before, Crumbs, you know, it was a good roam for Rovex, right? Being a bit more active, now has a Trinity Force online. Columbia Cougars are finding their way around some of these spots and getting some trade kills back. But the problem, Crumbs, is when you staunch the bleeding, still bleeding, right? That's the problem in the first place. And Maryville are just, you know, making that lead ever bigger as the game rolls on.
The wound is still there. You don't
exactly,
see it, but you're still hurt. And yes, very true. Columbia is definitely hurt, but the white blood cells are doing their work there. The Rovex on the sidelines. The composition, I think, is just all about making him strong with the Black Shield and Karma, but they're looking after Chippy. This won't amount to anything. But look, even though Nasus is strong now with the Trinity Force, he's still getting shoved in by Lee Sin, opening in opportunities for dives. Cat might be dead. Good dodge, though.
Really good dodge, but not enough. Spyrex just kicks him into the team. Buckside looking for the play. Shady with the Devour, though, and good thing he dodged that incoming route as Odd Orange actually low, but Azo not going to be able to get out alive. It's Bucksack that takes out Odd Orange, though, and the center shield is going to give them a little bit more hope. But Rovex, look at him go with the black shield on, looking to find that Q. Evan RL almost gets deleted as Chippies will take out Bucksack, and now trying to save the rest of the squad. Does get the scoop on, a Spyrex still chasing his Chippies. I think he may have saved the day. Shady has not fallen. In fact, Rovex is going to get crunched on instead as Spyrex is on a killing spree as he takes out the Nasus.
All right, I want this game to go long because I am loving seeing this Nasus just bog people. It seems so silly, but he's actually getting really strong there. He didn't have the flash up. I think had he had that spell available, this could have gone a lot better. You can see what they're going for with the Karma. Had she been involved, the movement speed from their shield would really have been enough. But here, Tristana gets a little bit eager, thinking, oh, I could go into the Tahm Kench, maybe Devour is out. When the set comes in, it's when it starts to look real good. Rovex has to recognize that the Rumble ultimate is still available there, but when he's got Morgana behind him with the Black Shield to prevent the slows, sees the opportunity. It's just that the mobility is a little bit too high. A little bit more damage there. Wouldn't have had to use the Wither onto the Senna, would have saved it for one of these 3 members, and that might have actually been enough. So that shows you just how close this Nasus is to actually taking over these fights. He's not fighting with the rest of the team with what the composition is at just yet, but still, Maryville hasn't blown the game up, which gives Colombia some hope.
Yeah, there is hope, but it's dicey. 7,500 gold up for Maryville, still very firmly in the lead here. Spyrex also, I mean, just that ward hop alone, they ended up killing Cat 2 so clean. I don't know if the Mans has played jungle before, but not his first time on Lee Sin, I'll tell you that much. At least not his first time doing that combo. Because looking very well practiced on a champion that, for a lot of solo laners, people thought would be kind of hard to adjust to, right? Not that easy to play Lee Sin properly, right? Pretty easy to hit Ian lane, but everything else is actually quite challenging. As Spyrex looking to weasel his way out once again. Shady also a little bit too low, pops the shield there. As Azo is getting blasted by Evan RL, there's going to be the kill over as Chippy's TP's in to help, but not needed. It's just one for Maryville.
They see that they can go for that play. Nasus in the bot lane doesn't have TP, and since Chippy's is covering him, he's got an easy time getting away from him. There isn't even an interrupt on the Nasus to actually stop that from happening, but here they go, looking for some more. 4v5.
Chippy's found the slow into Cat 2 already, eating so much burst. Spyrex assassinated him, kicked out under Nintendo, the shield's out, and the damage is good. Odd Orange is going to die, but surely Nintendo will be felled as well. Now a 3v2 as Rovex is just going to get kited out forever. Center Tahm Kench is a nightmare for Nasus as Bucksack, the one to maybe try and fight it out, but Spyrex looking to train that Q on him once again. But now Rovex is trying to dodge. Shady's a little bit too low here. The W is going to hit them again. Rovex just going to get kited here as Spyrex wants the kill he really needed, which was the Trist, and they'll finish off the Nasus as a bit of a secondary consolation as Maryville just keep winning these fights.
Great patience there out of Maryville, treating Nasus like a rabid dog. Just stay away from him. Do not approach. Do not look at him in the eyes. Just make sure that you keep your kiting abilities available, because otherwise he will just bonk you to death there. The Gnar wasn't even able to get his ultimate off. He basically got 2-tapped by Rovex, but the Senna is going to be a big problem, like you mentioned. Her with the Swifties is so useful against the Wither. We're going to take a look at this fight once again because it starts the 4v4, but the Tahm Kench is teleporting. It just happens to be really far away. So they trade one member instantly. The Rumble overheated, dies, but now the Nasus is by himself. Tristana doesn't really have the same threat as the Nasus, and so they fight split up, and that's the real danger there. Because Evan RL gets to flash out, and once the Tristana has no rocket jump, well, you can't run to the Senna. She's outranging you. You run to the other side with a ward hop, Lee Sin will get to you. So she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Nasus won't help her.
Yeah, so well played by Maryville there. As you said, so patient, understanding the situation, knowing they're already up a champion, just making it look easy there. And again, Center Tahm Kench is like just as frustrating as ever. You know, heals, slows, big tanky Tahm, Devour. That's just like very challenging, especially when the champion you're trying to catch is a Lee Sin. Pretty hard to pin down, to say the least, is Odd Orange's speed running his way to a death cap, which you love to see. Harold's also going to get dropped. T2 and mid's looking a little bit unhealthy. Spyrex not going to travel in for that one though, but does hit it onto Rovex, and now Colombia Cougars trying to dive in, but Cat 2 just eating the wrong end of the pokey stick. Karma going to have to back away as tower is going to fall here.
They got to give that one up. Their attempt is the shields. When Karma ult shield and Morgana black shield are up, that's when they can really go for it. But just running straight at them, it's so difficult. You need a flank angle, and they don't have it just yet. There's flash on set.
Ooh, love this here for Azo. Going to move them in, gets the double pull. But can they do more? Odd Orange is there. Great ulti out of Evan RL. Orange low, but he gets about up. Spyrex there looking to play disruptive there in the rest of the fight as Chippies has to revisit. Actually left his team. This was a 4v5 for Maryville. Are you kidding me? Spyrex there just diving in there looking for the kick. Finds it there as he does get a bit of damage down, but Azo does kill Odd Orange. A massive gnar though. Chippies is going to wipe the rest of them off this rift as Maryville will find the ace.
They lose a single person. It's the jungler, but it doesn't matter. With the clean ace, you can go for that sweet Baron, and that should be the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, the Nasus is looking good, but losing the Baron here is going to be so difficult to come back from. They kited it really well. It was overforced by Colombia. The set had to flash in to get that engaged, and yeah, you got a 3-man stun onto the Senna, but there is no follow-up.
They didn't even give out Orange Baron. They could have waited like 1.5 extra seconds, but decided it's not worth it. Want to be efficient set. I mean, I like the angle here. Columbia College has to do something.
Right, they know that there's multiple members separate. The Gnar isn't there, but then there's just no way to follow up onto the Senna. Yet, she doesn't have flash, but your composition is essentially melee range. The Tristana is not going to jump into that, and so when the initial engage falters, it's so easy to kite back. Evan RL is not threatened by anything. He's just auto-attacking away. He's got the Kraken Slayer, and then Chippy's with a beautiful chain CC'd at the end. He joined the fight late, but he really had a good reason for it because he showed up big time.
And he got 2 kills with his E, I think they did, Chippy's the Crunchtrap Supreme on old Meganar. I thought Spyrex kicked after he went in, by the way. He didn't. He kicked Azo away after the engage happened. He took a Q into 4 people just to E them and W away. That is how confident this man is. And he still hasn't died this game. And Crumbs, I don't remember exactly, but he may not have died this series. As Azo is just getting centered right now. I don't know how many souls he has. It's enough. As Azo is just getting obliterated by the long-range poke. Odd Orange from downtown is going to take out the set with the equalizer. And Maryville are up like 11,000 gold and counting.
That's AD set. Trying to maximize the damage output of Haymaker and his ultimate, but if you never hit anybody, that's another one.
Karma. Cat 2 has been picked on all series long. Doesn't feel very fair, but for Maryville, it's got to feel good to dominate so hard in your first series, aiming for another collegiate championship, the second in a row. Don't forget, they are still the defending champions, and that Rabadon's put to good use by Odd Orange, getting that long-range equalizer kill as Maryville look to put the finishing touches on the enemy Nexus.
Okay.
And here.
Set still looking for the angle.
Yeah, finds the dunk, but it's onto Chippy's. The damage is just too much. Can they get the kill? No, not yet. It's Shady with the clutch devour once again. Odd Orange is going to dive into the enemy team because he doesn't mind. He'll die for the cause as Rovex will pick up some extra stacks as a result. But the rest of the team is in. Spyrex with a massive kick finds Cat 2 once again. And that is going to be game as Spyrex goes legendary alongside the rest of the squad. And Maryville are going to sweep through Columbia Cougars to push themselves 1 round forward.
That was a really clean game there out of Maryville. They recognized the windows that were given to them by Columbia, and they never stopped. We had our fun watching this game, but let this game be the case study as to why Nasus mid is not picked more often.
You know what? I'm always down for for a fun kind of signature pick or comfort pick. I'm sure it's something Rovex likes to play, but you could see in that game how not being able to influence the rest of the map as a mid laner is something, especially in the current state of the game, can be real tough on your teammates. And unfortunately, this could never get the scaling going as Spyrex was all over that rift alongside Odd Orange. That was like some of the most dominant jungle mid invade play I've seen in a very long time. Really impressive from Maryville.
Relentless, because it wasn't just the Lee Sin joining up, it was the Gnar pressuring the set, a good matchup that they had because the set was taken early as well. So they got the counter pick there, transferred into the jungle, and the whole red side was dominated. And then if you try to go to the bottom lane, well, the Sen and Tom Kent are also in that place. You're never going to make anything happen. So they had a strong draft focused around the lanes that just invaded the jungle and never let go.
Yeah, definitely a team-wide effort, which is really important to highlight. I almost feel bad, honestly, especially Eddie and Evan RL, who also played very well. It's just their roles in this game were just play good and scale. And they did that, right? Even in this game, it's play good and support us. You're playing Senator Tom Kench and, let Spyrex absolutely style all over everyone on 2 different highly mobile, assassinating kind of champions. 2 looks and 2 very good games from the newest player to this roster, although certainly not new to league or to competitive by the looks of things. Spyrex, extremely impressive. A name I will be remembering once I get off the broadcast today. He played so well.
Yeah, he did. And meta, right? Very meta. Lee Sin, Akali, he's been watching MSI, keeping his eyes on what the best players in the world have to offer, taking it to collegiate and delivering on it too.
All right, well, Maryville take the series in, take the win and the series, but when we return, the State Farm Analyst is going to be hanging out with Orange, their jungler, and breaking down their win. Don't go too far.
Welcome back to the 2021 College Championship. We are on the opposite side of a Maryville victory, keeping us at a short day here with 2-2-0s in our 2 best-of-3s. And once again, we are joined by a player from that series. We've got the Odd Orange from the jungle position coming to us. First things, congratulations on your W. I know that wins are very familiar to Maryville, but how do you feel about this series victory?
I definitely will say I came into this series more nervous than past ones because I respect a lot of the players on this team. John, Cat2, Rovex, Nintendo X, like these guys have all played at a really high level for a long time. And it was our last best of 3 series. I think next round's best of 5. And I think so best of 3s can be a little scarier than best of 5s. So I was nervous, but I'm really glad that I came out with the 2-0.
How did you feel playing the North Finals so early?
Was that like that was back in what, early April? How do I feel about
No, I just
playing
mean
it?
that you're playing against CC so early because they're always in the finals against you.
I'm not too familiar with like rivalries in collegiate, so it felt, you know, as normal as last week's, I guess, you know. It felt as normal as another series to me. because it's my first time in collegiate. I don't really know the rivalries that well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing. The Odd Orange, we've seen you across League of Legends in different capacities, from streams, other competitions, now here in the collegiate scene. How do you feel that kind of just that well-rounded career that you have had has helped you in this collegiate journey and kind of finding this synergy with the rest of the Maryville squad?
Well, for this specific year, we brought in Chippies as well, and I think me and him both have a lot of competitive experience in our background. So like, and we know before coming here that Maryville is all about winning collegiate. Like that's number one thing. So it felt pretty normal to me and Chippies. Like we bring a lot of intensity, you know, but it can get stressful at times. But it felt pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, like just kind of listening to, because yeah, you mentioned bringing in a new top laner, and then coming into collegiate with like high expectations and all these things, and also giving respect to the players at Columbus. I mean, the fundamentals it felt like was pretty clean from you guys as a team. Kind of like walk me through like what your mentality is around like development and just like what are you working on in practice, because it felt like at least from a vision control focus, you guys were really clean at that.
I'd say over the last week, we recently brought in Spyrax, and me and him have been working a lot together and with Shady to do a lot of plays through mid. I don't want to say too much, but it's like, you know,
Of course.
play as a unit with Spyrax and get vision down together, and then, you know, play for aggressive invades in enemy jungle. That's that's what we've been practicing on.
Makes sense.
We got to see the practice come through on the Rift, and you're going to be hanging with us here as we break down what we just saw in this last game. It was very fun from a viewership perspective. TJ, I know that you came in with a little bit of insight when it came to what we saw from the draft.
Yeah, so I'm pretty adamant that NASA's mid is imba. It is so imbalanced. It is just so crazy. So Odd Orange, how did you feel when they picked NASA's mid against you guys?
Imbalance in what regard? Like terrible or like?
No, like it's so OP. Look, it's running you guys down all throughout the entire game. Granted, you guys have a 70k, which you can't really touch, but.
I mean, it's giga useless the first 10 minutes of the game, so you just have to like. You either play to like gank it and shut it down, or you just push mid wave and you go fuck the enemy jungler. And I think, I should not be.
All good. Continue on.
Play to push mid and then go run to the enemy jungle and attack him. And that's what we did in the early game. So I think it's a pretty bad pick.
Okay.
All right, yeah, with that, consider that kind of looking forward, we did see you and the rest of the team manage to kind of just calm it down on the Nasus. Taking a look at one of the fights that happened in the mid lane, I just want to get your thoughts on specifically in this fight, how you were all able to keep control and making sure that Nasus didn't have an impact as we get that rolling up here in a bit. But
like just in general, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, we're gonna get it up here now. Go for it.
Let's see. I think maybe he has no flash this fight, and we engaged a little early. We had our Tom Kench TPing behind, and it was a 4v5. We engaged a little early, and we just know he has no flash, so pretty sure he's got no flash. I mean, he's pretty easy to kite once his R drops as well. With our champions, he's really easy to kite, so like, even if he's really scaled up, like you kite him around like this, and he doesn't have a very good time.
Who would you say was leading the communication during all of this? Was it just everyone pitching in, or do you guys have a specific leader?
Shady leads the communication pretty well when in regards to team fights, when it's like saying who he's gonna eat on Tom Kench and just to kite out the fight and play it slow. I'd say it was Shady doing that.
I'm kind of interested, just like, I know you guys gave a lot of respect to Columbus going into this game. What would you say is like a great attribute? Because like bringing in Spyrax with limited time, I know you guys have probably played with them a bit in competitive beforehand, but it seemed like you guys were pretty in tune. Game one, more of a focus, I would say. Game one for sure, like off of Shady's Thresh and all that, you guys were playing pretty consistently around him. Is that, I guess, do you guys see that as a strength? Because like I thought coming into this series that'd be a weakness not having much play time with them, but it seems like you guys are just pretty damn crisp with it.
Well, he's young. He's got 2 like 1,000 LP Challenger accounts. He's a really high mechanical player, and I think if you just play around him, get him vision, and like he's really strong at the current meta picks. You know, Lee Sin mid is one of his best
Yeah.
ones, and I also think it pairs up right now a lot with the jungle picks because there's a lot of AP junglers. So you know, I can play an AP jungle, he can play an AP mid, AD mid, and we're both happy. You know, and then we just give him some vision and. You know, he'll smurf his lane and he'll smurf in team fights. It's not too hard.
It's so interesting to me to hear that you were actually kind of more nervous going into the series, being that it was a best of 3. I mean, if we're looking at some of that fighting that happened later, there was just such great kiting on your side and that excellent team play. Was this a shared sentiment with your teammates too? Did they also feel any additional pressure for the series, or is it just something for you personally felt that you were kind of internalizing some of that nerve?
I'd say there was definitely a level of stress and pressure we were feeling because we also have been struggling in proving grounds this week, and like, you know, if you're struggling in one tournament, like you could think it could carry on to collegiate as well. So I think we all shared a high level of stress coming into the series.
So with the meta changing pretty consistently, and you talked about like bringing in like Rumble jungle into it, like we've seen quite a bit of that in like MSI, but we haven't really seen much Gwen, Viego, and all these things because it's banned in competitive play for so long. Like, okay, this might, like, without obviously like putting out any information, did you feel like there was difficulty in being able to adapt? You can even just speak more towards like Rumble, like just the 8 jungle picks.
Well, since school has been over for us for about a month, no, not really, because you just slam your head into solo queue and play 5 games of Rumble, 5 games of Morgana every day.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of time to prepare for the new meta, and then we got to watch a lot of MSI VODs. So it was like the perfect downtime to actually switch into a new meta.
Nice.
Yeah, we saw that adjustment. I mean, on the desk, we were talking about how much we love watching the drafts here because you do see some of those meta picks, but there are a lot of unique picks to the players on these teams. Another thing that we had difficulty with, both on the caster side and the analyst side, was deciding who the player of the series was going to be because all of you were popping off in your respective roles. The final result ended up being that for our player of the series, it's Shady, the support on your team, coming through clutch with some of that Thresh play as well as that TK play. You already touched a bit on what he was able to do in those team fights, but just tell us a bit more about the journey of him joining the team and all of you working alongside him and his impact in the series.
I mean, Shady is a really insane, engaged player, and just I feel like when these collegiate matches come, he really turns it up a notch in his level of communication, and he carries a lot of the load with the comms. He's very focused, and it's really fun playing with him. He's a very good player, and he's always really high in the solo queue ladder. You know, I've known how good he is for a couple years now. I've seen him around, so it's a pleasure playing with him.
Yeah, so I heard you mimic your really whispering towards Spyrax there for the player of the game. Dory, he was second. Yeah. He played quite well. We were watching that as well. So I have a question for you, Out Orange. We saw that your president was actually watching this series. How does it feel to have such strong administrative support at your school?
I mean, it's awesome. It really just goes to show how important and like involved everybody at Maryville is towards winning the championship. So it means a lot to have our president watching our matches.
I'm sure they're so happy to see what you're able to accomplish in this series. We've talked about the fact that Maryville, the reigning champions, we've seen such great turnover of players into other aspects of the League of Legends scene. How does that impact the way you play, kind of carrying on that legacy and reflecting the good work that has been done in this program?
I mean, that's why I wanted to come here. Like, I'm a pretty competitive player. I wanted to go to the school where you're held to the highest level, the highest standards. Like it's win or nothing. So it's been exactly what I wanted. I'm happy right now. But we still got 2 more series to go. But I'm happy with how we performed today.
speaking of which, when it comes to upcoming series, I mean, we're so happy to have you here, the Odd Orange, after today's matches. And taking a look at how things are going to go for the rest, we have our 2-2-0 series wins. Maryville and Bethany moving on to the next round of competition. Tomorrow, Harrisburg Storm will race against the Redbirds. And Winthrop Eagles will be taking on U Buffalo to close out the day. So let me allow you a minute, the Odd Orange, or not a minute, a few seconds here to process. Those are the matches we have tomorrow. HU versus Redbirds. We got the Eagles versus Buffalo. Are there any of those matches that you are looking forward to most, or any teams that you have your eye on as the highest competition when moving forward?
I mean, my eye's definitely on Winthrop. I think they're really good. But I also my eye's also on HU Storm. I think their roster also has a lot of potential. I predict tomorrow is going to be a 2-0 HU and a 2-0 Winthrop. I'm excited to watch those two teams go head-to-head, if that's the outcome tomorrow. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
I didn't know that we were going to get predictions from you today, too.
Like
I feel so honored. Yeah. Definitely some great takes here. Raz, how are you feeling about the matches tomorrow? Are you aligned with the Odd Orange here, or are your sights elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm also aligned. I was really surprised in how Buffalo ended up winning their games. I think they're a really strong team fighting team, so they shock people, and that might happen, right? Like they have Kana, so like that's something that you can always be aware of. But Winthrop is gonna be fun. I'm looking towards HU Harrisburg just because I think Shorter Race is an insane jungler. I think he's a really good jungler, and like his Lee Sin and all that. He actually reminds me of Odd Orange, at least his champion pool. That's for damn sure. So like, actually, I wanted to ask you, what jungler? I know you mentioned the teams, but like, what jungler are you looking forward to watching?
I mean, Short Race for sure, because he whips out some picks that are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
There it
Short
is.
Race for sure. Yeah. Don't want to say anything I shouldn't say. So
True.
yeah.
So I actually have to disagree with you, Raz. I think that ISU will win tomorrow. I have to be proud of Luke Normal. I think ISU will win, and I'm supportive of the Winthrop win as well.
See, here's the thing, Raz, Odd Orange, you got somebody that lives in that area now and somebody that used to live in that area. There's a little bit of that trickling in here. The Odd Orange, thank you so much again for joining us here on the desk after your series. Before we round things out, are there any last words that you would like to say as the last player we have on the broadcast today to the community or the supporters out there?
Shouts out to everyone who watches my stream, every other night. I appreciate all of you guys. You're awesome. Shouts out Niles. I love him. He's my boy. And shouts out President Lombardi for watching the matches. So
There we go.
that's it.
There we go. Yeah, and the shout out to Niles. And if y'all saw the talent announcement, we'll actually get a little bit of Niles action coming up this week too. So much to look forward to. As far as the broadcast goes, though, that is going to do it for us here at the 2021 Collegiate Championship for the day. More action to come tomorrow. So on behalf of the casters, the analyst desk, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And until then, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.